I woke to the sound of gravel crunching under expensive tires, and through the lace curtains I watched a sleek black Mercedes pull into the driveway like a hearse arriving early. It was 6:47 in the morning. I'd been living in Grandma Rose's cottage for exactly 11 days, and my Uncle Vincent had absolutely no intention of letting me keep this house without a fight. The Mercedes door opened and out stepped Vincent himself, all cashmere coat and polished shoes, followed by a woman in a pencil skirt carrying a leather briefcase. I pulled on my grandmother's old cardigan and went downstairs. "Caroline," he said, my name sounding like an accusation. "We need to talk." They filed into the living room, and the woman, Patricia Holbrook, estate attorney, immediately began setting up a mobile office on my grandmother's coffee table. "I'll get straight to the point," Vincent said. "This inheritance situation is untenable. Mother clearly wasn't in her right mind when she made these arrangements. However, I'm prepared to make you a very generous offer. $400,000 for the property, cash." I'd done my homework. I talked to Martha Chen, the realtor, Mr. Leopold, the retired tax assessor, and my grandmother's lawyer, Diane Roth. "The property's worth at least $900,000, I said quietly, given the lot size, the lake access, and the current market. Vincent's expression didn't change. "Let me be clear. If you refuse this offer, I will contest the will. I will tie this up in probate for years. Mother had dementia, Caroline. The court will see that she was manipulated." "She didn't have dementia," I said. "She had you." Vincent's jaw tightened. "She barely recognized me the last 2 years. She forgot your name because she didn't want to remember it," I said. "She knew exactly who you were. She just didn't like you very much." "You have 48 hours to accept the offer," Vincent said coldly. "After that, I file the contest." $400,000 is life-changing money for someone in your position, someone in my position. He meant someone who worked as a middle school art teacher, someone who wasn't him. After they left, I called Diane Roth. "He's trying to pressure you," Diane said, "but here's what he doesn't know. Your grandmother anticipated this, every bit of it." "What do you mean?" "Rose was the sharpest woman I've ever known, right up until the day she died, and she made absolutely certain her will was airtight. But there's more. Can you come to my office this afternoon?" Diane's office was above the old pharmacy on Main Street. She pulled out a thick file and opened it. "Your grandmother came to see me 2 years ago. She knew Vincent would contest it. So we did something unusual. Every 6 months for the last 2 years of her life, I had Rose evaluated by a neurologist, a psychologist, and a geriatric specialist. Each time, she passed every cognitive test with flying colors. We have video recordings of her explaining her decisions with timestamps and witnesses. Vincent can claim whatever he wants. The medical evidence is irrefutable." I stared at the cognitive assessment report. "Score, 98th percentile for her age group." "She knew he'd do this," I said quietly. "She knew exactly what he'd do," Diane said. "But that's not all. There's a clause in the will that Vincent's lawyer either didn't read or didn't understand." She pulled out the will and flipped to a marked page. "If any beneficiary contests this will, that beneficiary shall forfeit their entire inheritance and all rights to any property, funds, or assets herein described." "What was Vincent supposed to inherit?" I asked. "A trust fund worth approximately $2.3 million. But if he contests the will, he loses everything, and it goes to you and to charities Rose specified." My grandmother had built a trap, a beautiful, ironclad, legally binding trap. "Does Vincent know about this clause?" "His lawyer should have explained it," Diane said. "But based on their behavior this morning, I'd say either she didn't or he didn't believe it. Some people are so confident in their ability to manipulate the system, they don't bother reading the fine print." 2 days later, I got a text from my cousin Mara, Vincent's daughter. "Can we talk? Coffee? Please?" We met at the cafe on Lakeshore Drive. "I'm sorry about my dad," she said. "He's being insane about this. He's filing tomorrow." "Mara, did you know about the forfeiture clause?" She blinked. "The what?" "If he contests it, he loses his trust fund." Her face went pale. "What trust fund?" "Your grandmother left your dad over $2 million. But if he files a contest, he loses all of it. Her hands were shaking. He doesn't know. His new lawyer probably hasn't even read the full will yet. You might want to tell him, I said. Before tomorrow. Vincent called me that night. I let it go to voicemail. When I finally called him back the next morning, his voice was different, tighter, more controlled. I think there's been a misunderstanding. I've reviewed the will more carefully, and I believe we can reach an amicable solution without involving the courts. You mean you found out about the forfeiture clause? I said. Silence. Then, let's be practical, Caroline. I'm willing to increase my offer to $700,000. The property's not for sale, I said. Not to you, not to anyone. You're making a mistake, he said. This house is a money pit. The property taxes alone will bankrupt you. You're a school teacher, Caroline. You can't afford this. I'm a school teacher who just inherited a house worth nearly $1 million, I said. I think I'll manage. This is about spite, Vincent said. You're using Mother's clearly diminished mental state to... Stop, I said. Don't talk about her like that. She was sharper than you've ever been right up until the end, and the fact that she chose to leave you money but chose to leave me her home should tell you something about how she felt about both of us. I hung up. Over the next week, things got interesting. I started getting calls from other relatives. Aunt Teresa, Vincent's ex-wife, was the most helpful. Don't trust Vincent, she said. He tried to get Rose declared incompetent 5 years ago. He wanted to put her in a managed care facility and sell the house then. Rose fought him off. That's why she was so prepared this time. Why did he want to sell it so badly? He's always hated this place. Too many memories of not being the favorite child. Rose loved his sister, your mom, more than she ever loved him, and he knew it. After your mom died, I think he just wanted to erase everything that reminded him of feeling second best. I started finding things in the house. Boxes in the attic, carefully labeled. One was marked Vincent Childhood. Inside were report cards, drawings, photographs. There were letters, too. Letters my grandmother had written but never sent. One was dated 3 years ago. Vincent, it read, I don't know how to reach you anymore. I see you turning into your father, and it breaks my heart. I'm leaving the house to Caroline not because I love you less, but because I know you don't want it. You want what it represents. Proof that you are the important one. But love isn't a competition, sweetheart. It never was. I hope someday you understand that. With all my love, even when you don't want it, Mom. 4 days before Vincent's deadline, a woman approached me at the grocery store. I'm Helen Park. I was your grandmother's neighbor for 30 years. I heard about Vincent causing trouble. If you need anyone to testify about Rose's state of mind, I'm here. That woman was sharp as a tack until the day she died. She helped me with my taxes the month before she passed. I called Diane. I want to send Vincent a formal notification about the forfeiture clause. I want him to know exactly what he's going to lose. The letter went out via certified mail. 2 days later, Vincent's lawyer called Diane to inform her that Vincent Whitmore was withdrawing any intention to contest the will. He folded, Diane told me, completely. It's over. The house is yours. That weekend, I found a photograph in my grandmother's journal. My grandmother, my grandfather, my mom at 12, and Vincent at 8 or 9. They were on this porch. Everyone was smiling. On the back, summer 1982, the last good year before everything got complicated. I got an email from Vincent. Caroline, I'm not good at apologies, but I was wrong about this. My mother loved you because you were willing to show up, and I wasn't. I'm withdrawing from the legal proceedings. The house should be yours. I hope you'll be happy there. It wasn't much, but it was something. I wrote back, thank you. I hope you find what you're looking for. The estate was settled. The house was mine. I sat on the porch watching the sun set over the lake, and I started noticing things my grandmother had left behind. In the garden shed, I found plans for a greenhouse she'd been designing, dated January of this year. She'd still been making plans. She'd still been looking forward. I decided to build it. It took 6 weeks, working every weekend with help from my students. By November, the greenhouse was standing, small and a little crooked, but real. I planted herbs and ordered orchid bulbs. In December, Mara called. Would you want to grab coffee, just to catch up? We met at the cafe. My dad's been different since all this happened, she said. He's been going to therapy. He told me he's been thinking about what he missed by being so focused on winning all the time. That's good, I said. He asked about you? I think he feels guilty, but doesn't know how to say it. In January, I started a new project. My grandmother had been planning to write a history of the house. I decided to finish it for her. I spent weekends at the Historical Society, interviewed elderly residents, learned that the cottage had been built in 1923 by my great-great-grandfather, a boat builder. During the Depression, my great-grandmother had run a soup kitchen here. During World War II, my grandmother had turned the attic into a victory garden. The house had always been about community. In February, I opened the house for a library fundraiser. 50 people came. The house filled with voices and laughter. After everyone left, I found a note from the library director. Thank you for opening your home. Because of your generosity, we raised enough to keep the children's reading program funded. Your grandmother always said this house had good bones and a good heart. She was right. In March, I got a handwritten letter from Vincent. Caroline, I've been thinking about what my mother tried to teach me. She believed in showing up. She believed the measure of a life wasn't what you accumulated, but what you contributed. I spent my whole life trying to prove I was more important than everyone else. I can't change the past. But I wanted you to know I see what you're doing with the house. I'm enclosing a check for the greenhouse, or the library event, or whatever you need. I wanted to show up, even if it's 40 years too late. The check was for $10,000. I called Diane. Can we set up a community fund named after my grandmother? I deposited Vincent's check as the founding contribution to the Rose Whitmore Community Fund. I wrote him back. Thank you for showing up. It matters. Spring came. I started hosting monthly gatherings. Nothing fancy, just open-door evenings where neighbors could drop by and talk. Sometimes 5 people came, sometimes 20. The house was alive again. One evening in May, Helen Park said, Rose told me once that the secret to a good life was knowing the difference between what you own and what owns you. She said you understood that. That's why she left you the house. In June, I was offered a job at a private school in the city with better pay. I turned it down. I'm where I'm supposed to be, I told my principal. That summer, I tackled the attic. I found boxes of my mother's things and a box labeled Caroline Baby Years. Every card, every drawing, every report card. My grandmother had kept everything. She'd seen me, really seen me, and structured her will accordingly. In July, Mara visited with her girlfriend Sophie. My dad's been writing letters to you in therapy, Mara said. He's afraid to send them. Tell him he can, I said. I can't promise I'll know what to say back, but I'll read them. In August, I got Vincent's first letter. Long, rambling, honest. He wrote about growing up, always competing with my mother. About feeling guilty when she died. About watching me connect so easily with his mother. I don't expect forgiveness, he wrote. But I wanted you to know I see what I did, and I'm sorry. I'm working on being better. I wrote back, keep trying, and you're welcome to visit the house sometime. I think Grandma Rose would want that. In September, Vincent came by. We sat on the porch drinking iced tea, and he told me stories about growing up here. She never stopped trying with me, he said. I took it all for granted because I thought love was supposed to look like approval. I didn't realize what she was giving me was better. It was unconditional. Before he left, he said, thank you for doing right by this place. She'd be really happy. In October, 1 year after inheriting, I threw a party. A real party. The kind my grandmother used to throw. I invited everyone. Vincent came with Mara and Sophie. People shared stories about my grandmother, about her quiet decades of community building. When it was my turn to speak, I said, my grandmother taught me that inheritance isn't just about what you receive. It's about what you do with it. She showed me that power is about showing up and making space for people to be fully human. This house will continue to be a place where people can gather and remember we're all in this together. The party went late. As the last guests left, I looked up at the house and made a promise to take care of it, to use it well, to honor what it represented, to show up. I'm still here. The house is still standing. The greenhouse blooms every spring. The community fund supports 3 scholarships. Vincent visits every few months. Mara and Sophie are planning their wedding here next summer. I wake up every morning and hear the water heater make its dying walrus sound, and I smile because it means I'm home. I inherited a house, yes, but more importantly, I inherited a choice about what kind of person I wanted to be. I chose to be someone who shows up. I chose to build a life that matters. My grandmother knew I'd figure that out eventually. She always was the smartest person in the room, even when she wasn't in the room anymore.